Good afternoon and welcome everyone here to Architects Ag Talk with Jared Campbell. It's an honor and a pleasure to be back here with you this afternoon, and we have a special guest here in the studio. I'd like to welcome Mr. Brad Bain, the McCurtain County OSU Extension Educator for the Ag. Brad, how are you today?
Oh, doing good.
Doing good. Thanks you very much for joining us here. I know we have a pretty neat topic we're going to talk about today. A few other things also, but the main topic, like we were talking about just right before we come online here, on there about 6 months ago, our larger poultry farms here in McCurtain County, you've been hearing about them, seeing about them more, and kind of a different role is not, everybody knows you grew up here, you was a 4-H educator for many years and stepped into the roles, and Mr. Bailey retired as an ag educator. So everyone knows that hat that you wear, but it's kind of another hat is the program coordinator for the OSU Poultry Waste Education Program. How long have you been on that side with OSU, Brad?
I think I took that on in the fall of 22.
So, okay. So you're running on a little over 2 years in on that deal. And so, and coming with that requires lots of travel. What you have going on with that, what all entails, you're talking about poultry litter. Of course, a lot of people use it here in McCurtain County for fertilizer and different things. We do have a lot of poultry houses, from the older style houses even up today to they call the new mega houses as well. So, and with Tyson having a complex right here, in Broken Bow and the hatchery as well, in the feed mill. So, Tyson's really well represented here in the county. So poultry wise, we're known for, I don't know the stat, Brad, but one of the larger ones in the state, I would say, on the poultry side.
Yeah, I think right now McCurtain County, we're number 3 behind Delaware County and Leflore County. And most people may be aware, but most of our poultry integrators are based in Arkansas. Mm-hmm. So most of the production is kind of the tier of counties that border the Arkansas state line. So in this role, I do provide these trainings. It's statewide position, but primarily at that eastern tier of counties where that we do have large poultry farms. And I think that's something that a lot of people just seeing poultry production from the road or meeting the chicken truck or the feed trucks going up and down the road may not realize. But really, at least for McCurtain County, the poultry growers are probably the most regulated producers that we have. In recent years, some of the ranchers and crop producers that use certain pesticides, not all of them, have started to have some continuing education. Mm-hmm. But the poultry growers, that regulation has been on those guys since the late 90s. And then they're still required, regardless of however long they've been in the business, to keep doing continued education and to attend 9 hours of training before they're even allowed to either operate a poultry farm or apply the poultry litter that comes off of that farm.
Those classes, those 9-hour classes, because I've been in one, I've taken the class myself, but like I said, you travel from McCurtain County to Miami? Or
we have had classes at Miami, typically J. That's county seat there at Delaware County, and it's not far drive from Miami down to J. Yeah. So typically we'll offer a class at J, but it'll draw participants from the surrounding counties there.
Sure.
Same way with Stillwell, Salisal, Poteau.
And I know you have classes, we'll talk about here in a moment, but classes for 2025 coming up, so that's kind of stops is what I'm trying to say throughout. Right. And so, do you go any further kind of to the west, really, or is that kind of your...
Occasionally, but they have to attend the first training live.
Yes.
At one of we offer that usually three times in the spring, 3 times in the fall, but once they've got that, they can now view recorded trainings at their local extension office, so they don't have to drive 100 miles. They can just go to their local office and do that.
Okay.
That is something that was new kind of since COVID. We tried to make some changes, and that was one that we kept through, was allowing them to do that locally. If
you watch online, but you can't do it at your home, is that right?
Correct. I have to go to an office to
do that. Okay, yeah, makes sense. And so on those hours, like you said, the 2-hour continue ed, and of course, I've had my license a couple of years. ODAF is very good about sending the letters to help you out, or hey, here's your license.
Very positive way to refer to those
or hey, and I got the letter of hey, you need 4 hours before this date, know. Right. So that's a good thing, and we can kind of get off here in a minute.
Well, and I think that is one thing people need to require is, as with a lot of our agricultural programs in the state, they are we've got different state agencies, but they team together.
Yes.
This poultry program is one where OSU and the county extension offices provide the education. Oklahoma Department of Food and Forestry within their Ames division, which is Ag Environmental Management. They're in charge of regulating to make sure the education requirements as well as the application regulations are followed. And then also the third partner, particularly when we're writing the regs and stuff, would be your friends there in the Conservation Commission as well.
Yes.
So it's really a three-way partnership within the state with those three state agencies. And it's not just that they have to attend training. They're also regulated. If I'm growing hay at my place, as long as my checkbook can stand it, I can go buy fertilizer and spread it every day. With the poultry litter, there are requirements where they have to soil test. They have to test the litter that's going on, and then that litter application rate for that particular field has to be based on that soil test. If the soil test comes back high in phosphorus, and they're prohibited from putting litter on that. So it's several steps involved to make sure that we are, being environmentally correct in that application, making sure it's not getting into either the groundwater or our wells. So, like I said, since past 20 or 25 years, I think it's a success story because we haven't seen new issues, even though our poultry industries continue to expand, and things haven't gotten worse. For the most part, I think they have improved in the northeast Oklahoma waterways that kind of were the catalyst to start the program back in the mid-90s.
Yep. Like I said, it was then before that, which I was just a big old kid then, but I mean, been growing chickens around here since, golly, don't get me what, 50s, 60s. I don't know when it actually started.
I think it got big in the early 70s.
70s, so that's whenever they started the houses and all. I mean, of course, they were, and with like on the Tyson side, I do not grow chickens or anything like that, but just listening and I buy chicken litter for my place as well, but pulling that litter out at certain times, like you said, those farms, it depends on what Tyson regs are. If we're pulling out in between the batches at 56 days, or there's a lot of that going into that side, so.
Well, and a few stats that I was able to pull, a lot of people like to use buzzwords for factory farms, or I think you mentioned early mega farms. But
yes.
In 2000, for the state of Oklahoma, we had about 223 million birds, and that produced about just a little over 1 billion pounds of poultry. In 2023, we had 215 million birds, which was a decrease of 3%, but we produced almost 1.5 billion pounds. So we had about a 40% increase in actual chicken meat from a smaller number of birds. So to me, that's more sustainable. And typically, you mentioned, in the 70s and 80s, typically our poultry farmers, for most part, all of them were also cattle ranchers and hay producers. So
that's right.
A lot of that litter, they were trying to use it on their farm, and that's kind of where we got to some issues, is because at some point their farm has enough, but they were still using it because it was free. Now we have these larger farms, with 8, 10, 12 houses owned by one family, but most of those families aren't growing cattle or hay, so they're selling that litter, and it's going to other farms either in the county or west of here or out of state. So that's not an environmental drag on our local, our local waterways and those type of things. So in some senses, the bigger farms have less environmental impact than the more modest ones of the past.
Sure, kind of, makes very much sense. And kind of going back to like you said, and this is for, even if you're not putting poultry litter, because you can have this done at your OSU Extension office, anywhere in the state, any of the county offices. About you're talking about soil test. To me, that soil test is, you deal with that stuff every day, especially springs here. Right. Everybody's thinking about hay and spraying and fertilize. Is it still $10 for a sample?
Yep. It's still $10 to do a soil test, and even if you are buying it from local co-op or other commercial supplier, $10 is cheap when you're deciding how much of something that's costing $600-700 per ton to buy. That's the best investment you can make.
Yeah, exactly. So, and back when remind me, Brad, when phosphorus and potash, when this stuff was crazy high, where everybody kind of turned to more litter. They was looking for that nitrogen and potash, more on that litter side, and as you know, around here, there's litter, but trying to find who to talk to or who, just right. On that side.
And, if they're listening to this, when it's taped, most of that phosphorus and potash is shipped in here on a barge. The tariff talks in the news could easily have some impacts on that going into the summertime. So if you are looking to apply, you probably need to be putting a pencil to it, or you maybe or consider alternative source like poultry litter or something like that.
Sure, on that side. And so I didn't even price anything yet. Have you, commercial wise right now? Have you heard numbers? I mean,
$600 to $750 depending on what you're getting.
Where you at? Where it's coming from? I mean, and golly, what's it going to be? Tetra, Hugo. I'm trying to think our closest right now to get. Be from Hugo to D-Queen?
Hugo, D-Queen, Paris right now.
It's kind of about an hour, 45 minutes, give or take. So on that side. But no. Anyways, back to the poultry side. Litters, like I said, very good. I mean, I know. We'll go back. Let's talk more on that class side. We talked about the 9-hour class. Then you continue in ed, and you kind of explain, because I'm still also learning that kind of the hours at 19, Brad. When you get to 19 hours total,
right? Yeah. If like I said, we've mentioned fertilizers prices. We're kind of looking for them potentially to increase. So if someone wanted to become certified so that they could apply litter on their own place, or if they're a new grower, we're going to be offering those classes here at the end of the month. We'll do the initial 9 class starting at 9 o'clock on March 26th there at our office there at the corner of 4th and Central here in Idabel. And then for those that already have attended that class, the 2-hour class we'll offer it the night after that on the 27th at 6 o'clock. Got Dr. Josh Payne, who previously he was our litter management coordinator for OSU, moved on to private industry now, but he's going to be giving a speech over best practices for litter management. And then we've also got Michael Trammell, who's from our district office up at Ada, and he's our agronomist. He's going to be talking about using poultry litter as a soil amendment, so that could be timely going into the spring application season. But that, what you mentioned, the 19 being the magic number, mm-hmm. if let's say in 2025, if you attend that initial 9 class, mm-hmm. then 5 you'll have to attend every year for 5 years after that to go to that 2-hour class. Well, 5 hours or 2 hours of credit gets you to 10 plus 9. At 19, then those guys, they only have to come back for a refresher every third year.
So every third year. And is that a 2-hour refresher?
Yeah, just be these same classes that we're offering in the evenings.
Yep. So let me ask you this: so if a guy gets a 9-hour, the initial 9-hour class, and he says, "I want to go and get the other hours and be done," can he take the initial 9 again to get over that threshold, or do you know?
No, okay, it has to be 2-hour up there because we want them to get new information.
That
first class kind of covers the basics as far as the science, the record keeping that's mm-hmm. required.
The start of it, like you said.
All the requirements. Talks about. We'll talk a little bit about marketing the litter, calibrating your spreader, collecting a good soil test, a good litter test, kind of those basics. But then these 2 hours are usually more hands-on. Mm-hmm. We try to do a mix because a lot of our growers aren't applicators, and a lot of our applicators aren't growers, so we'll try to have something that will apply. It's hard to have both hours apply to both of those groups, but at least where they can all get something out of the meetings when they come to it.
Yes, yep. Well, I think it's a good networking, too, because there's always some new faces, either growers or applicators in that class, to kind of, so as well. On that side, and it don't matter if they grow for Tyson or Pilgrims, because we have Pilgrims here in the county too. It's still they have to abide by the rules on that. And I know the classes before I've been to, a lot of times, sometimes you'll have some ODAF staff come down. Yeah. They are very good and helpful about learning the paperwork. That's the main thing about that criteria.
And since I've been involved, we've tried to work closer with ODAF. And at that I-9 training, we'll have their staff members come down mm-hmm. so that they're showing the guys there and the ladies as well, that have to attend, they're the ones that read those reports and determine if they're correct or incorrect. So it's kind of like having the teacher that's grading your paper. That's who you want to hear from. And they're really good to let people know, they're not trying to shut you down or get you like a small town, cop on a Saturday night or anything. They're there to help you. But if you blatantly violate the Oklahoma regulations, they're going to fine you or go to your integrator and try to get changes made that way.
Yeah. And it takes a while to get to that point. I mean, like I said, they work with you and work with you, and they've told us that in the class that we're here to help you, and we don't want to lay it all down like that, but but hey, I'm happy. I mean, we have to have. That's why we have laws. I mean, to for the safety of everything. And
and to me, in this day and time, when you got anybody with a YouTube channel or a podcast, they can do one-sided documentaries or videos and get a lot of coverage on social media. To me, the fact that our farm operators are becoming more educated, they are tracking the application of nutrients that could potentially be over applied. To me, that's a good thing that the general public needs to be aware of.
Yes,
to know that us as we farmers, we live here too. We've got less want or the most to lose if the environment around us goes downhill than anybody else. So we're not all out trying to kill everybody. We're just trying to make a living and provide a quality, safe product for when the people go to the grocery store.
Exactly. At the lowest cost as possible. Yeah. I mean, literally. And so, you're right. Especially with the way the technology is now and more on this, and you're applicating this stuff out, the GPSing and things like that on your tractors and stuff. I mean, and so, because on the spreader side, you can have your pull-behind spreader type, or there's some, or you can hire someone that has like, this kind of like just a fertilizer machine in a sense, but, the big size on that side. So let's talk for a moment on and this is always, people ask you this all the time. They ask me about how much I put out. And I always say the golden rules, 2 tons per acre.
To give you you're going to get the right answer because you're going to have that soil test and based on your litter test also, we're going to look at those 2 numbers. And that soil test could come back and I say you can't put out litter.
That's true. Yeah.
But in McCurtain County, unless you're a poultry producer and some of our home gardeners, sometimes our gardeners, we can get some pretty high ratings there just because they're kind of doing the same thing every year.
Yes.
But for the most part, our pastures and our crop fields, they're going to be deficient in phosphorus and potassium, and they're going to be allowed to use litter. So
sure.
If you're buying litter, it's usually not an issue.
Yes.
Sometimes we can't. Some of our poultry farmers can have issues on their on their farms if they've been using it every year for the past 20 years or something.
Exactly. Yep. It makes sense.
So, like I say, if you're buying litter, there was no reason not to test because you're going to know exactly how much you need to buy the litter. You're going to know if you need to also have additional, some nitrogen from some ammonium nitrate or urea to go along with that litter to get the production you're pushing for.
Yes.
So either way, you're going to know how much to put on strictly because of these regulations before you go to put it on. If you are considering application this spring, and call your neighbors or something trying to find some litter, I'd go ahead and pull my soil tests now. Those can take 8 or 10 days to go to Stillwater and us get the results back because you never know. That neighbor might call you next week and say, hey, something come up. I thought this was sold. It's not.
Yeah.
If you got a litter tester, a litter test I can sell to you, and you don't want to say, oh, well, shoot, I was going to do that next week.
In the litter, in the soil test, I'm trying to say, is like I said, they bring it to your office, you guys send it off with, of course, on that side, and it comes back to your office, you give the recommendations, and then they can have it either emailed or mailed or right. Come by. And so on the litter test side, the person, the gentleman, the young lady, the lady, the grower, I guess I could say on that side, by law, they have to pull their own tests for the litter they're fixing to pull out of the house.
Yeah.
Am I right? Make sure.
But, if technically, if you're buying from a middleman or something, you could pull that if they've got some stored up in a shed or something, they could pull a test for you. Doesn't matter where you get it, you need to have a litter test before you go to putting it on your place. Typically, the grower will have that because they've got to submit that with their annual reports to ODAF.
Yeah. Do they just have to do one litter test per year on that, or does it have to be per batch, or kind of how? Or
no, if I'm buying the litter, I'd want it as fresh as I can. But
sure,
in McCurtain County, we're fortunate. It's a little more forgiving here as long as that test has been within the past 3 years. ODAF will accept it.
Okay, yeah.
But now, if you're in one of the nutrient-limited watersheds, which that's typically northeast Oklahoma, a little bit around the 4-county area, some of those farmers are, but they have to do it annually. We're fortunate we haven't had any water issues, so as long as we keep doing a good job, we haven't had to fall into those stricter regulations.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know as well. And so, yeah, because like I said, it's that time. Another question I always get of, who spreads litter? Who spreads? That's another deal because not everybody has a lot of people have, like I said, a town job, so it's hard on evenings or weekends or nights. And, so there's only one gentleman I know of in the county, that custom spreads litter, but he's usually pretty booked up because he has his regulars every year that he's putting litter out for as well. If you have a tractor, I would say a 100-horse tractor plus, and you want to spread your own litter, I know the Little River Conservation District has a spreader you can rent by the day on that, so you can reach out to them here in Idabel and visit with them on that side as well. I'm just, that side, Brad.
Yeah,
so.
No, you are correct. I know there's some clean-out crews out of Arkansas but if you are an individual that you've got the license or want to get the license and would be open for either clean-out service or application, let me know because either my office or the Conservation District office, both, here in the next few weeks, we'll start getting a lot of calls asking for that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we don't have a good answer because there's just not a lot of guys that are doing that as a either their job or as a side gig or anything.
Yeah. So it's and like I said, there was a few guys I know on the Arkansas side that would come over as well. They had all their license and everything, but like I said, they're either just retired or they're just too busy in Southwest Arkansas, and so. But hey, that might be a gig for somebody who wants to get into business. Right. So, Brad, what else on the classes? I know we talked about it. Of course, everything on that side for the application side, talking about the litter. I mean, it's
I think we kind of gave a pretty basic overview. People feel free to stop by the OSU Extension office, follow McCurtain County Ag. That's my Facebook page, or just call us down there at the office if you got any questions or on any of this. One other thing I do want to promote as we're wrapping up, McCurtain County Cattlemen Association, we're going to have a meeting on the 11th out at the Brinkley Building at the fairgrounds starting at 6 o'clock. Brian Frecking, he's our area livestock specialist out of the Ada office. He's going to come down and talk a little bit. If you got cattle, they're pretty high right now. Mm-hmm. In the past, we've always talked about the value of getting your calves ready for market, whether that be, pre-weaning them, pre-vaccinating, preconditioning programs. So he's going to give us a presentation on those programs and if they're valuable, even when the market's up as high as it is right now.
Sure.
Also have a chili supper, and so we'll have a good meal. And all local cattlemen are invited to come and bring a neighbor with you.
I know in the past you do it fall and spring, usually in your meetings for cattlemen.
Actually, we're going to try to have this one, then another probably in late April. We try to do 2 in the first half of the year, and then usually another one in the fall.
So I know you've had
take the summer off so we can bale some hay.
Exactly. Well, you've had some big turnouts. I know the last 2 or 3 meetings I've been able to attend. And so it's good to see the local Cattlemen's Association growing. I always think of Mr. Freeney, because he was the chairman for I don't know how long. I mean, years.
Time.
And so
Jason Allen down at Hayworth, he's our president now, and I think he's wanting to try some new things and see growth. So come out and join us. Who knows, we might put you in a leadership position.
There you go. That's it. Yeah. So on the other side of that, I know, what's it been, 2 years ago now that we kind of did in the springtime, a kind of a big I'll say trade show day. I know you've kind of talked, or we've kind of talked about that, but it kind of depends on the way these hour deals falls with pesticide and litter. What's kind of a long range, Brad? What are you thinking? Maybe another year on that? Or
I think that's something because we're kind of in the second year of guys having to get continuing education, so that's something we probably would offer in spring of 2026.
Okay, yeah.
We can do that was pretty well attended a couple of years ago, and but I don't know if it's something every year that we could get a good crowd, but I think every second or third year, I think that's something to be looking into.
Yeah. Well,
but now we do still have the classroom pesticide applicator classes, and kind of like we did in 2024, we'll have a bunch of those to try to keep everybody legal this fall.
Sure. Yep. So, well, and we'll do another episode here coming up about on the pesticide on side, because like I said, it's on everybody's mind now. I mean, it spraying and all that side as well. And so, Brad, you got anything else before we wrap up for today?
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you very much. It's been fun to talk to you as always. We look forward to having you here, back in here again with some more topics. But I knew this poultry litter deal, as we've talked before, it's a big issue as always with things going on, here in eastern Oklahoma, with the different laws of stuff and with water stuff that's going on as well. Thanks for what you do at your extension office and being that program coordinator. So I think it's pretty neat that not everybody knows that they can call your local OSU office here in McCurtain County, and you're the guys, I say, for litter. On the rules and the regs, or who to talk to, because I know you always get some questions, or you can find out how to. The main thing is don't be scared. Really. If
I can't answer it, I know the phone number of somebody that can.
Yep, exactly. So and like I said, if you're an applicator or and you get the letter in the mail, like I said, it's all right. You're not in trouble. And so, but anyways, guys, thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you here on the next one at Architects Ag Talk with Jared.